guys, welcome you all to my channel. If this is your first time of coming to my channel, thanks a lot. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, like, share and subscribe. So in today's tutorial we are going to be making a simple video on how to cut and sew off shoulder arithmetic gown. Okay, so this form of off shoulder, of course, you also have your bustier, and the lower part we are going to have our arithmetic effect. Don't forget to join us on Facebook, TG Designs, on Instagram, TG Designs, and also visit our website. We have amazing fashion illustration on our website. All the details are going to be in the description box below. So what are the basic measurements required in order for you to achieve your off shoulder bustier arithmetic gown? Your shoulder measurements, bust, waist, hip, and your gown length. 14 divided by 2, we have 7 inches. Our bust is 36 divided by 4 plus 1, we have 10.5 inches. Our waist is 30 inches. 30 divided by 4 plus 2, we have 9.5 inches. Our hip is 38 inches. 38 divided by 4 plus 1, we have 11 inches. Our gown length is 60 inches. So 60 plus 2 inches for our sewing allowance, we have 62 inches. So these are the basic measurements required in order for you to achieve your off shoulder arithmetic gown. Now I know you might want to ask me that what about your nipple to nipple, your shoulder to under bust, your shoulder to waist? I've gone ahead to make a detailed tutorial on size chart. I'm going to link the video here. Please go ahead and watch the video on your size chart. It simply guys. So guys, I've gone ahead now to calculate the measurement. Now I know you might want to ask me that what about the measurement for your shoulder to waist, shoulder to under bust, and bust nipple to nipple, since we want to achieve bustier also. Now I have a detailed tutorial on size charts, which I'm going to put the link here. Please go ahead and watch that video also. It explains like your distance calculation in details. And one advantage of making use of size charts is it enables you to know the basic measurements, especially when you are dealing with clients that, you know, they just give you that size chart to work with and you are not opportune to take all those measurements. So that is like a guide to help you to know the measurements you need to achieve your dress. Now we also have our printable size charts. We also have our printable size chart. This is what the printable size chart looks like. You can see what this looks like. I've gone ahead to make like the printable form of size chart, so you can also place your order for your size chart. And this size chart starts from size 4 to size 24, whereby the bust measurement for size 24 is 58 inches. Now we have basic size charts, shoulder, your thigh measurements for this sizes, shoulder to knee, your top length, your gown length. It is detailed, guys. It is detailed, and this size chart is available. So if you want to grab a copy of yours, please check the description box below and send us an email or call or send us a message on the WhatsApp number in the description box below. So now the next thing we are going to do now is to go ahead and draft our pattern. I'll be making use of pattern drafting to achieve this style. Now, because what we also want to achieve is off shoulder, it is also necessary for you to know how off you want your dress to be. And note that, you know, the number of inches you take off from your shoulder measurement totally depends on you. So you can take off 3 inches, you can take off 4, 5, 6. It depends on how off you want your dress to be and basically where you want your dress to start from. So now, if you have any question in the course of this video, please kindly drop your questions in the comment section or any topic you want us to make a video on. And don't forget, trainings are available, both online training and physical training. And now let's move to the cutting part of this tutorial. So guys, now we want to make our off shoulder tube, right, with arithmetic dress, off shoulder tube arithmetic dress. So the first thing we are going to do now is to go ahead and mark our basic measurements. Shoulder to armhole 9, shoulder to bust 9.5, shoulder to under bust 13.5, shoulder to waist 17.5, waist to hip 9 inches, waist to knee length 17 inches. Now I know you might want to ask me that how did I come across all these measurements. I'm going to go ahead and put the link of the video here. Please go ahead and click on it to watch it. I made a detailed tutorial on distance calculation, how to know the distance from your bust to waist, waist to hip, and all of that. So the next thing we have to do now is to go ahead and mark our dart measurements. So my dart is 4 inches. I have 4 inches, 4 inches. Once I'm done, I'll go ahead and connect the lines together. Now on my waistline, I'll mark ½ inch on both sides. Connect the lines together. Connect the lines together this way, and you also connect it to your hip line. Now because what we want to achieve is our off shoulder bustier, you go ahead and extend this dart line to your shoulder. Extend the dart line to your shoulder. On your under bust, go ahead and mark ½ inch on both sides. On your under bust, mark ½ inch on both sides. Now you go ahead and connect your under bust to your bust measurements, and making use of your pattern master, and pattern masters are available at our store. Connect your under bust to your waistline. So this is pretty much what it looks like. So on our shoulder measurements now, we are going to go ahead and mark 5 inches on our shoulder measurements. This is to give us our bustier effect. Go ahead and connect it to your bust line this way. Now because what you want to achieve is off shoulder, it is necessary for you to know how many inches off you want to take from your dress. And note that this depends on how deep you want your off shoulder to be. So you can make use of 4 inches, 5, 6, 7. It totally depends on you, right? So for me, I'm going to make use of 6 inches. Please, you can increase it, you can reduce it. It depends on what you want. And because I want you to have like a sweet tart neckline, I'm just going to go ahead and curve this part to give me my sweet tart neckline. So just to have this sweet tart neckline, but if you want it to be straight, you just have your straight neckline this way. So at this point now, let's go ahead and mark our measurements. So our bust measurement is 10 inches. Our waist measurement is 9.5. Our hip measurement is 11 inches. Our hip measurement is 11 inches. So let me go ahead and connect this upper part before we move to the lower part, where we are going to have our arithmetic effect. So connect your waist to hip, connect your waist to bust. Now because what you want to achieve is off shoulder, you are basically going to mark your shoulder. And in order for you to mark your shoulder, please go ahead and close this shoulder line. Close this shoulder line this way. So once you close your shoulder line, you go ahead and mark your shoulder measurement. So my shoulder measurement is 7 inches. So this is where I have 7 inches. Make sure you close your shoulder dart before taking your shoulder measurement. So once you've done that, now the next thing you are going to do is to connect it to your bust measurement this way. You can see what I used to connect it like a slant. Now this is what you are going to have for the upper part of your off shoulder bustier dress. So now let's move to the lower part of this pattern paper. Okay, so this is our hip, where we marked 11 inches. So you are going to go ahead and also mark 11 inches all the way. Now if you want it to have like a pencil effect, you go ahead and deduct 1 to 2 inches from it. But because we are still going to have our arithmetic effect at the lower part, I'm basically going to maintain the 11 inches all the way to my gown length. So I'll just maintain the 11 inches all the way to my gown length, and then I will go ahead and connect these lines together. So this is what you should have. So let me go ahead now and cut this out. So guys, once you are done cutting it out, basically this is what it should look like. So the next thing we are going to do now is we are going to go ahead and open up this part, because for this part you have your bustier effect. So we'll go ahead now and open this up. So you are going to have two pieces for your front block. So the next thing we are going to do now is to go ahead and draft our back block. So guys, now we want to cut out the back block. So we'll go ahead and mark our zip. So guys, the next thing we are going to do now is to go ahead and mark our zip allowance. This is the back block. So we've gone ahead to mark 2 inches and then we'll connect the lines together. Don't forget that this line now is our shoulder measurement, because we took off 6 inches for the front block, right? So the next thing you are going to do now is you are going to go ahead and mark your dart measurement, 4 inches. Connect the lines together. Connect the lines together. On your waistline, go ahead and mark 1/2 inch on both sides. Mark 1/2 inch on both sides and you connect the lines together. Go ahead and take your bust measurement, 10 inches, your waist measurement, 9.5. At this point now, you are going to mark your shoulder measurement, which is 7 inches, right? On this line, which is your new shoulder line. Connect your bust to waist and your bust to your shoulder. So this is what you are going to have for your back block. Now the lower part of your back block, the difference between the front block and the back block for the lower part is just adding your zip allowance to it. Okay, so it's just for you to add your zip allowance to it for the lower part. So what I mean by that is this is your front block. This is the lower part of your front block. The difference between this lower part of your front block and your back block is just adding zip allowance to it. So basically you just add your 2 inches zip allowance to it all the way down. You can either add it on your pattern or you add it where you want to transfer your pattern to your fabric. So there's no need, you know, going over all these measurements when it's something you can easily do on your own. So let's go ahead now and transfer this to our fabric. So for the back block also, fold our fabric into 2, place your pattern paper on it and then cut this out. By the time you open it, you are going to have 2 pieces this way for the back block. So we'll go ahead and cut out the lining for every of the pieces. So guys, for the front block now, you can see what we have for the front block, the upper part of the front block. So I've gone ahead to fold my fabric into 2. I'm going to place my pattern this way and then I'll go ahead and cut this out. So guys, this is what it looks like. So by the time you open this up, this is what you are going to have. So by the time you open this up, this is what you are going to have, and then you can see like your sweetheart effect at this part and our armhole also. So let's go ahead now and cut out the back block. So guys, I'm going to make use of this beautiful African print. You can see what it looks like. So the first thing I went ahead to do now is to fold my fabric into 2. After folding my fabric into 2, I went ahead to place my pattern on it. Now in order for us to achieve the arithmetic effect, I feel like for me personally, getting it on the fabric will be easier for you guys, especially for beginners. So that's the reason why I want to cut out the fabric first and then explain how to come across the arithmetic effect. But note that you can also achieve that on your pattern, right? So I've gone ahead now to place my pattern paper on it and then I'll go ahead and cut this out. So guys, we've gone ahead now to fold our fabric again into 2. Now we want to cut out the back block. Don't forget that in the pattern we didn't cut out the lower part of the back block, and I said that the difference between the front block and the back block is just adding your sewing allowance to it. So if you discover, this is where my front blocks end and I have about 2 inches between my front block and my back block, so this will serve as my zip allowance for the back block, right? So I'll go ahead now and just cut this out and open up this part because I'm going to have 2 pieces for the back block. So guys, now this is what we have for both the front block and the back block of. So guys, this is what we have. This is the front block right? And we also have the back block also. Now we want to achieve our arithmetic effect, and this is like the beauty of this style. So the first thing we are going to do is to determine where you want your arithmetic to get up to. Now that totally depends on you. You can take it higher, you can take it lower. Now this is our waist measurement. This is our waist measurement. Waist to hip 9 inches. Wow, I don't know if you guys can see it, but waist to hip 9 inches, waist to hip 9 inches, waist to knee length 17 inches. So this is just to guide us so that when we are taking, you know, our slits of the arithmetic, we don't go beyond, you know, between our hip measurement and our knee length. Somewhere around this point, this is where we want it to get up to. But it depends on you. You can take it lower and you can take it higher. So now we want to connect it. So now we want to connect it. This is the lower part of your dress. This is the lower part of the dress. This is the lower part of the dress. Now we are going to leave our sewing allowance. Don't forget that you have sewing allowance at this side. So mark 3 inches. Mark 3 inches or 4 inches. It depends on you. So let's just take 4 inches. So by the time you take your sewing allowance, you still have something left. So you want to connect this 4 inches that you took here to somewhere around your knee length. So you are taking it slant this way. I don't know if you guys can see it on this fabric, but anyways, so you just want to connect what you have here, 4 inches, open it, connect it up to somewhere between your hip line and your knee line. So let me go ahead and explain this on the pattern paper in case if you guys can't see what I marked here. So what you are going to do now is actually very easy. Connect these 2 inches up to that part. So you just go ahead now, connect it this way. Now you are going to determine where you want it to get up to. Connect it. Let's assume that I want it to get in between my hip and my knee length. So this is what we have. Connect it all the way down. So this is basically what we have. So what you are going to do now, you can see it's very easy. You go ahead and cut this out. You go ahead and cut it out. So now for this line, where how you are drawing this line now, you can make it very straight. You can give it like a little curve effect. It depends on, you know, the design you want to be at the lower part. So this is what it looks like now. So let's go ahead now and cut this out. What you should have, can you see this? This is basically what you should look like at the end of the day. One side, and then you have this part. So now back to our fabric. Now I've gone ahead to mark the 4 inches at this part. At the lower part I marked 4 inches, and then I just went ahead to connect it to this part. So I'll go ahead now and just cut this out. So guys, after cutting this out, can you see what it looks like? So you can see the arithmetic effects at the lower part. So this is what it looks like. So for the back block, by the time you open up the back block, you're still going to have the same 2 pieces, you know, which at the lower part is to still give you your arithmetic effect. So we'll go ahead now and set this aside. So guys, now this is what we have. You can see what it looks like. So I've gone ahead now to turn it with my lining. This is what we have, and this is the lower part of the front block. This is what it looks like, the lower part of the front block. Now for the upper part of our front block, where we have our off shoulder effect, this is what it looks like. So for the upper part of our off shoulder effect, this is what it looks like. I've gone ahead to couple this up, and you also discover that I went ahead to, you know, put my wording, and I am making use of the soft form of wording. So this is what it looks like. What you are going to do next is that for the lining of the upper block, now I'm going to go ahead and place my lining this way. Go ahead and place my lining this way, and then I'll basically turn this. Okay, so once I turn it, this is just to make, of course you know you should turn it with lining. You don't want to leave your dress this way. Okay, so you go ahead and turn it with your lining. Once you are done turning it with your lining, all you have to do now is to attach your lower part to the upper part of the dress this way, so that you can have like your complete front block. So looking at this now, you will see that you have your complete front block. So go ahead now and set this aside. For the upper part of the back block, of course you have two pieces because of your zipper. I've also gone ahead to, you know, turn the two pieces with lining, and this is what we have for the upper piece of. So for the lower piece of the back block, we also have two pieces for the lower piece of the back block. I've gone ahead to also turn it with my lining, and I've also gone ahead to also turn this with the lining. So let me show you guys what it looks like. So by the time you couple this up by fixing your zipper, you will discover that you still have your slant shape at this part. You can see that you still have your arithmetic flow at this part, and also when you place your front block on it, it should fall at the same part. So when you place your front block, you can see this is our front block now, you also discover that it falls at the same part. Okay, you can see that it falls at the same part. So what you are going to do now is you go ahead and couple this up by fixing your zipper, so that you can have a complete, you know, one piece for the lower side of the back block. Once you are done, the next thing you are basically going to do now is you are going to go ahead and attach your upper piece of the back block. Attach your upper piece of the back block to the lower piece. You also attach the upper piece to the lower piece, so that you can have one single piece, and by the time you go ahead and fix your zipper, you should have one single piece for your back block. So automatically, once you are done joining the upper block and the lower block together, the upper block and the lower block together, then you go ahead and fixing your zipper, you should have one complete piece for the back block. So once I'm done with that, I'll show you guys what I have. So now I want to cut out the sleeve, which I'm going to attach to the dress. So this is my fabric now. I folded my fabric into 4, and because I'm going to put in elastic, so that's why I have excess. So what I'm going to do now is, you know, and the amount of fabric to fold totally depends on how full you want it to be, and because you're going to put in your elastic, so it's still going to like grab it to your exact round sleeve measurement. So at this point now, you come to the edge of this fabric. On our dress for the off shoulder, I took off 6 inches, so I'll go ahead and place the 6 inches outside the fabric this way, and then I'll mark my armhole. So my armhole is 9.5 inches, so I'm going to mark where I have my armhole this way. I'm going to place like my 6 inches that I took off for my off shoulder this way, and then I'll mark my armhole, which is 9.5 inches. Now if for the main dress you took off 4 inches, it means that you're going to place your 4 inches this way, and then you mark your armhole measurement. So if you took off 5 inches from your main dress, that's what you're going to place outside this way. So now basically, because like I said earlier, it's a very free dress, I'm just going to slant it this way. Now how will you know how to slant it? So the 6 inches I took off, I'm going to mark the 6 inches I took off for the off shoulder of the dress. Yeah, I'm going to mark the off shoulder I took off for the dress here. So this is the 6 inches. Now I'm going to add, you know, as many inches as possible, and the inches I had at this point will determine how, you know, how full is going to be. So you can add 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 inches. It just depends on how full it's going to be, and because you're going to add your elastic, you're still going to grab it to give you your exact measurement. So at this point now, I added about 7 inches. I'm going to mark where I have 7 inches. So I added 7 inches to the off shoulder 6 inches. So I'm going to slant this, my armhole, to the 7 inches. So you can add 5 inches, you can add 4, it depends on what you want. So basically I'll just connect it all the way down. And now this lower part also, what is our round sleeve? Our round sleeve is 12 divided by 2, we have 6. So I'm going to mark 6 inches for my round sleeve. Like I said, because it's also like a balloon dress, a balloon sleeve, we've gone ahead to add as many inches as possible also for this lower part. And because you're still going to add your elastic to this part, don't worry, it's still going to grab it to give you your exact round sleeve measurement. So if you have any question, please feel free to drop your questions in the comment section, or any topic you want us to make a video on. What we have, so by the time I fix in my elastic to this point and I fix in my elastic to this point, you know, we are going to have our exact dress. So I forgot to say this, for the sleeve length now, if your sleeve length is 10 inches, you are going to place the 6 inches you took off for your off shoulder outside, and then you mark your sleeve length. So if your sleeve length is 15 inches, you place your 6 inches outside this way. That is if you took off 6 inches. But if you took off 5 inches, you place 5 inches. If you took off 4 inches, you place 4 inches outside. So because I took off 6 inches, I'm going to place my 6 inches outside this way. And for my sleeve length, I want it to be 15 inches. So this is where 15 inches should be. But I went ahead to add 4 inches to it. So you might ask me, why did I add 4 inches to my sleeve length? The first reason is because I'm going to add elastic to this lower part. I'm going to attach elastic to this lower part. So I have 2 inches for my elastic allowance at this lower part, and because I'm also going to add elastic to this other part, the upper part also, I have 2 inches for the sewing allowance. So I went ahead to add 4 inches to my sleeve length, 2 inches for the lower part of the elastic, and another 2 inches for the upper part of the elastic. So this is basically how to take your sleeve length, your off shoulder sleeve length. So this is what we have now. So I'll go ahead and just fix in the elastic and show you guys what it looks like. So guys, now this is what I want to attach to the lower part. So for the wideness of this, I have about 8 inches. Note that it depends on you. You can make yours 4, 5, 6. It depends on how big you want, and also what you want to attach, you know, to that other part of the dress. So by the time I fold it into 2, because this is what it's going to look like, once I fold it into 2, I'm going to have about 4 inches into 2, and then I'll stitch about ½ inch. I'm going to have 3 inches. So basically what I want to achieve now is I want to pleat, you know, gather this up round this part. So for the length, I have like a very long strap because I want it to be very full. So I basically want to gather this up. So I'm going to just go ahead and, you know, stitch this, making use of gathers to gather this up, and this is what it's going to look like at the end of the day. You can see, so this is like the idea behind this style. You can see what it's going to look like. So by the time you add your crinoline to it, or your stay, if you want it to really stand well, you can use like your crinoline or stay to like attach to this fabric now to make it to stand well. So this is what we are going to have. You can see how cute it is already. So I'm basically going to go ahead now and gather this up. So I'll be starting from this. You can see this ending part of this dress. I'm going to gather it from this part all the way round to the back block, and I'll also end at this point. So once I'm done gathering that up, the next thing we basically have to do now is to go ahead and attach our off shoulder sleeve. So guys, after coupling this up, this is what we have. You can see the upper part of our front block and then the lower part, and of course you can see our arithmetic effect this way. And then for the back block, this is also what you are going to have, and you can also see the effect. So the next thing we are going to do now is to go ahead and cut out what we are going to attach to this lower part. So I'll go ahead now and cut that out. So guys, now this is what it looks like. We've gone ahead now to attach our off shoulder sleeve to our dress. You can see what it looks like. So this is basically what it looks like. So we've attached our off shoulder sleeve, and also on this part we've also attached our off shoulder sleeve. Now the next thing you are going to do now, we've gone ahead now to cut out this arithmetic part. So what I went ahead to do is to basically have your fabric, right, like a very long fabric. It depends on how full you want it to be, and just go ahead and gather this up. Just go ahead and gather this up round you know, where you have this curve round, just gather it up round. You can see that is what I've gone ahead to do. Just gather it up. So you can basically add like stay to it, or like crinoline, just to give it like a form of structure if you want. It is absolutely optional. So go ahead now and just, you know, pleat it as much as you can. And the fuller it is, the more beautiful your dress will be at this part where you have your arithmetic effect. So I've gone ahead now to pleat it. You can see